Crowbcat is a popular gaming YouTuber who creates highly edited show don't tell gaming videos since 2013. If you watch any gaming videos on YouTube, you've definitely heard of the guy. However, his two videos on the Resident Evil 4 remake have sparked major controversy, all for one simple reason. Crowbcat doesn't like the game, but everyone else does. And so cue in all the nerds and RE fans waging a war against one another. So in this video, I want to collect all this chaos and vitriol that Crowbcat has stirred up to answer the question that you probably clicked on this video for. Was Crowbcat right about Resident Evil 4 Remake? Oh boy, I can't wait to read the comments on this video. I just want to preface this for context, alright? I'm a zoomer. I was still in my dad's nutsack when the original game came out, so I don't really have the same nostalgia for it like many people do. But unlike most Resident Evil fans, I actually played the game back in, god damn, 2019. So let's start off with the first video that Crowbcat made on RE4 Remake, Soul vs. Soulless Resident Evil 4 comparison. The entire video comprises of back-to-back in-game comparisons between the original and the remake. And just taking a surface glance at it, there's already a ton of differences that I see. The graphics and the gameplay have been dramatically revamped. Everyone says fuck a lot more in the dialogue. Luis is actually a character now. Ashley isn't annoying as hell, although dealing with her in game is still kind of annoying. But these are just things that you would already notice just from looking at the trailer when they got announced. What is Crowbcat really trying to say? If there's one thing I can appreciate about him is that he doesn't spoon-feed everything down the viewer's throat. However, it is a double-edged sword. Because there isn't any blatant commentary on why the remake is soulless, many viewers can interpret this video in any way, shape, or form. Well, shit. I didn't think I needed to use this much brain power. I'm a YouTuber. I don't want to do all this research. Okay, well, let's see. Let's check out the video description and see what they got. Oh, what's this? Keywords are art and cinematic direction. This is not an audio comparison. Wait, audio comparison? Okay, one of the key takeaways many viewers had from this video was the sound design. Many comments wrote about how the sound design is so much better in the OG than the remake. Personally, from what I listened to in the video, it seems like the OG has a lot more ambient environmental sounds, while the remake scenes are oddly quiet. You can hear the wind howling, water dripping, birds chirping nice and clear in the OG. Meanwhile, the remake seemingly has all these sounds turned down or even just straight up missing. Okay, that's a pretty big difference, and that's a huge knock against the remake. What else is better in the OG? Okay, let's see what's going on through the comments. This is why solid art direction is so much more important than good graphics.
Artistic direction greater than high fidelity graphics.
I feel that
Vibe in the old version is more understated. It's about art direction. The remake looks like a fan Unreal Engine.
Okay, what the fuck do people mean by a better art direction? These types of comments keep popping up, but no one explains what they mean by good art direction. From what I can find online, most people who said the original had way better art direction are usually just complaining that the remake is too dark and has too much environmental clutter. To be fair, there are genuine criticisms to be made against the remake's art direction. In Crowbcat's video, there were some comparisons where the OG had a lot more interesting areas with more detailed decorations and more colorful texture work. One art criticism that I do agree with is that the UI was a lot better in the original. The UI is so boring to look at. It's all just flat icons or some minimalist bullshit, and I wish they made the items in the attaché case more 3D in the remake. And there's also plenty of reused assets from the modern RE games present in RE4 Remake. Although reusing assets doesn't make a game inherently bad, like look at the Yakuza games. They reuse the shit out of everything and they're still bangers. Hell, even OG RE4 reused assets from the RE1's remake. And of course, there's the voice acting comparison, and if you know, I'm just gonna avoid that for now. Okay, now that we've revisited Crowbcat's first video, I feel like I have a better understanding on some of the criticisms he had against the remake. And I feel like I can understand why some people would consider the OG a little bit better in terms of artistic direction. Well, what does everyone else think about the video?
Where's everyone going?
The comments.
Okay, if you're watching this video, you know what happened when Crowbcat dropped this video on this godforsaken hellhole we know as YouTube. Everyone was pissed. Twitter, Reddit, even the goddamn Steam forums. Everyone was foaming at the mouth when this video dropped. Many disagreed with Crowbcat as they believed the remake stood on its own as a great game and that his critiques are unjustified. It felt like Crowbcat was evaluating the original through rose-tinted nostalgia goggles while giving the remake unfair critiques. Now, one of the video's biggest contention contention points was that sound design critique we mentioned earlier. Many people accused Crowbcat of altering the remake's audio to make it seem like it's quieter and emptier than the OG. I mean, just looking at the comments we just read, it seems like that's like one of the biggest takeaways people had from this video. G-Man Lives, a prominent retro gaming YouTuber, made a tweet where he compared Crowbcat's in-game audio to his recordings and found that he was able to hear the remake's ambient noises a lot better than in Crowbcat's video. To be fair, G-Man pointed out that Crowbcat said he had to increase the audio levels in his recording. There has also been speculation that Crowbcat might have been actually using the remake's 5.1 surround sound option that was poorly mixed back to stereo sound. But this whole audio conundrum really set a bad rep for Crowbcat, with a lot of people questioning whether or not he made these comparisons in good faith. Like shit, just to add another steamer on this pile, someone on Reddit found out that the water room area was modified in favor of the OG. In Crowbcat's video, the original water room had chanting in the background while the remake was dead silent. Apparently, this post pointed out that Crowbcat had killed the enemies in the remake while keeping them alive in the OG. These enemies were responsible for the chanting in both games, and of course having them dead in the remake creates an unfair comparison for the sound design argument. And of course it's not a Crowbcat video if you didn't nitpick the shit out of something. Like for example, after the lake boss fight, Crowbcat did a comparison between Hunnigan's dialogue where in the OG, she said Leon was passed out for 6 hours, while in the remake, it became 3 hours. Okay, sure, what a big fucking difference that is. And of course, people clown on him for complaining about not being able to look up Ashley's skirt anymore. So, how did Crowbcat respond to all this heated debate surrounding his video? Well, apparently, he changed the video's title a couple of times, and that little snippet in the video's description was actually added sometime after the video was uploaded. And Crowbcat was also allegedly deleting comments criticizing the video. I couldn't verify if this is actually true or not, but I can totally believe it once you start reading through these comments. Like, Jesus, man, you're just bombarded with this huge circle jerk where everyone is just sucking off Crowbcat for how much of a genius he is and how he onalize those woke nerds that want to censor our games. Yeah! Overall, many people thought Crowbcat was tweaked out for going after the RE4 remake. Even though I think there were some valid criticisms against the remake, his constant nitpicking at bullshit and his bad faith comparisons really compromised his integrity. Crowbcat decided to kind of lay low for a couple of years. He just continued uploading videos as usual, shitting on COD, shitting on the Game Awards, reminiscing about the good old days of the 360. But oh no, don't take those safe videos from Crowbcat as him giving up. He's in the studio, cooking, using all this time to prove those fake-ass RE fans once and for all.
So finally, cancel culture comes for Crowbcat.
RE4 is timeless. RE4 Remake is a product of its time. This is the perfect title to use if it wasn't clear enough on how Crowbcat felt about the remakes. Oh, would you look at that? He did a remake of a video. Now this time, Crowbcat said, fuck the no spoon-feeding shit. I want a Fisher-Price explanation on why the remake is horrible and an affront to God. Even the chapter titles just plainly spell out whatever criticism he's presenting, much like the stupid yellow paint that's all over the map on the remakes nowadays. This is a long video and there's so much to unpack here, so rather than just showing you every single piece and every single critique, I'm gonna do just the highlights. Yeah, hate me all you want, call me a shill. The video starts with interview snippets from the devs who worked on OG RE4, highlighting how the game revolutionized modern third-person shooters as we know them now, and how it revitalized the RE series. Although, you could argue that it soon led to its downfall for a bit because Capcom tried to reheat RE4's nachos with RE5 and RE6. And yeah, I know I'm repeating myself, but oh my god, you can just feel how Crowbcat feels about the remakes, man. Watching this video, I felt the contempt just oozing through my screen. He also shows a montage of YouTubers and streamers reacting to the RE4 remake reveal. It's also hilarious as hell on how many people thought this was a Last of Us reveal.
Last of Us? Last of Us? The multiplayer for Last of Us 2?
But this is actually a good point from Crowbcat. So many people were skeptical at a Resident Evil 4 remake when it was first announced. A lot of people felt that RE4 shouldn't have been remade, and the previous remake for Resident Evil 3 got a very mixed reception due to having tons of cut content. Many people were worried that RE4 would get the same treatment, and I was in the same camp when this remake got announced. I played OG RE4 back in the day, and I thought, oh, this is still pretty good. I don't think it needed to be remade. But then the video moves on to the gameplay critiques, and this is definitely some of the more spicier takes from Crowbcat. He does a whole section where he showed how the remake plays just like The Last of Us, talking about how the UI is similar and how the combat mechanics are similar as well. Now, this is something I don't get. Why would adopting some modern game mechanics be a bad thing? You're telling me you would rather constantly pause to go into the inventory screen, select the gun you want to equip, press the A button to click equip, and then exit the inventory screen rather than just doing this? What the fuck? He acts like the OG didn't take any gameplay influences from other titles as well. There have been many games that had QTEs, over-the-shoulder camera, and all the other stuff RE4 is known for, long before the game was even released. He also shits on the knife parry. What? The knife parry is one of the coolest mechanics I've seen introduced in an RE game. It's so cool that now everyone associates Leon with knife parrying, like Chris with boulder punching. Crowbcat argues that having the knife parry ruins the tension you have in combat, which, sure, I guess it makes it a little bit easier, but I don't think most people considered either RE4s as particularly scary. Dude, you're fucking RE4 Leon, for Christ's sakes. Leon in both games is just cracking corny-ass quips, trying to act nonchalant, doing backflips in front of monsters, and does all of the crazy superhuman shit that all Resident Evil characters can do. I don't think Leon deflecting a chainsaw with a knife is that unbelievable for him to do nowadays. And besides, in the original, knife doesn't do shit except open boxes. And if you're so against having knife parry, just don't use it. You control the buttons you press. And he also retreads on the art direction and UI critiques from his previous video, which we've already discussed about, and I mostly agree with some of them. He also brought up microtransactions were added to RE4 Remake, and that is a not good move from Capcom, and I 100% agree with Crowbcat with that one. Also, Leon's DLC costumes suck. But then the second half of the video is literally nitpick city. Nitpicked about how some enemies didn't have the same inflection in the voice acting compared to the original. Nitpicked about how the mercenaries mode was added later as an update instead of being in game at launch. Nitpicked about how every gun can't use a laser sight. Nitpicked about how the OG game got renamed to Resident Evil 4 2005, implying that people will think the remake is the definitive version. Nitpicked about how in the OG, Leon would only crack jokes in cutscenes and comm calls, but in the remake, he cracks jokes during gameplay. Oh my god. He tried to make an argument about how Salazar is this cool and auriful villain from the original.
He doesn't give me this fucking awesome vibe like it in the original, where he was like, you know, he has that little laugh before.
When the fuck was this guy cool? Dude, he's just a fucking twerp in a pirate hat, running around the place like a rat, yanking Leon's chain over the phone like he's owning pranks. Even the gameplay footage Crowbcat used to showcase Salazar made him look like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. And honestly, that's all he needed to be. He's not some fucking cunning villain like Hannibal Lecter. And of course, he responded to the whole audio conundrum by compiling clips of streamers playing the remake and how they complained about the low volume, before ending off with a nostalgia bait skit on how the OG RE4 will never be beaten. Whew, that was a lot to cover. And even though I've given some of my 2 cents on this whole situation, let's move on and see how the internet reacted to this second ending from Crowbcat.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Woo! Yeah, this video really got under people's skin. Many people were surprised that Crowbcat doubled down after the first video's negative reception. Twitter and Reddit were fired up again, with many lamenting that they have to go through the same discourse all over again. Of course, when the video dropped, there are plenty of YouTubers giving their own thoughts and opinions on the topic. I watched plenty of responses to Crowbcat's video for research, and there are a couple of them that actually provide very insightful counter-arguments against Crowbcat's claims. All the other video responses are just dudes rambling in front of a mic while they just have some RE4 remake footage playing in the background.
This dumbass idiot doing the same thing.
And some of these videos get really defensive towards the remake.
At least sounds like none of the people parroting these points reads as if they weren't around for the release of Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube.
Personally, I don't want Capcom seeing that they made a bad game here.
Bro, Capcom could not give a single atom of shit to Crowbcat. They probably have no idea this whole discourse is happening to begin with. You know what? Fuck what people think online. I need reliable, independent, primary sources for my video. I need to talk to the RE community if I want this resolved. Yeah, I'm above it, y'all.
What's going on, y'all? My Anime Expo 2026. I heard there's a big-ass Resident Evil cosplay gathering, so I'm gonna go over there and ask them, is the original Resident Evil 4 better or the remake? So do you prefer the original Resident Evil 4 or the remake?
Original.
The original?
Yeah, I've only ever played the original.
The remake. The remake?
All the way. I like to move and shoot at the same time. Pairing's badass.
Yeah, that pairing is badass.
Originals.
The originals?
Yes, I grew up playing the originals. Back in '99, I picked up Resident Evil 2. Played everything up to 9 already.
Oh, nice.
The originals are still my favorite.
I personally go with the original, just for nostalgia. It's really it was really the first ever horror game I ever beat. And personally, I just prefer a lot of like the tone to it, the voice acting, and just the dynamics between the characters.
Original. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The cheesiness, Leon's one-liners, your left hand comes. It's just a funny script altogether. The original was just funny, you know.
Oh, that's really hard. A lot of people seem to prefer the original because it did do a lot for the video game scene. Personally, I do find a bit more like enjoyment in the remake. And I feel like the characters are much more enjoyable too. Like Luis is 10 times better. Ashley's less annoying.
Remake. Remake? Just for the writing, yeah. Yo, Leon didn't age well, bro. Not at R4. He said so. Out of pocket stuff, I can't lie. Oh yeah. Jill Sandwich.
You were almost a Jill Sandwich.
Dude, I'm hoping they give Jill more love in the new RE game soon. I need her to come back. Yeah. RE10.
I prefer original.
The original?
Yeah, because I'm more like a nostalgic person.
I like the remake. I think they did a really good job with it, although the original will always have a special place in my heart.
Which one do I prefer? I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, no worries.
I am a new fan. Send all the LARP allegations you want. I'm putting in time. I'm putting in the work. 1, 2, and 3 remakes. I'm going back. I'm playing 3 original as soon as I get home.
Oh, nice.
I haven't gotten around to play the original, but from what I've seen, it's definitely something that I feel like as a fan I should personally experience after playing the remake. So it's definitely something I'm gonna get to. It looks so fun.
Did you like the remake? How did you enjoy it?
It was down the list of my games, so it's been sitting in my library, but once I got to it, I regretted so much not playing it sooner.
That's a great question because although I kind of got into it because of Resident Evil 4, I think like the OG is so impactful. And how else are we gonna get iconic lines as "No way, Leon, way"? Like, how are we gonna get that? You know, it's like I think both have its place and are so good in their own ways.
For the original or the remake?
Original.
The original?
I don't know, it's too bigger.
Have you played the remake?
I played through like the first hour.
Both are pretty good. The remake treats you as if you're a returning player. Everything got older with you. So as the player got older, everything got older. Like the dog got bigger. Even the stranger says things like, "Oh, my back." All the times that we've been, like, you know, stuff like that. The original, I do prefer the original map, like the lava room and everything.
Yeah.
But controls and gameplay for remake. Easily, I also like Nug's outfit for remake a lot more because it's more realistic and he's also wearing 511s. Little sponsor right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, would you look at that? The remake beat the original by 1 point. I can't wait to read the comments about this outcome. Now back in the online world, from what I saw on Reddit and Twitter, people actually had a reasonable response to Crowbcat's second video. Just ignore it. Many had their fill of RE4 remake discourse from Crowbcat's first video, so when the second video dropped, they just couldn't give a shit. There'd be posts out about Crowbcat's second video, and most of the comments were like, who? And now you're probably thinking, Funky, aren't you adding on to this discourse by making this video? Yeah, I gotta figure out how to get this number up somehow. So with all of that out of the way, it's time to answer the very fabled question. And I just can't pull myself. Oh, no one's right. If you like the original, play that. If you like the remake, play that. Or better yet, play both. Researching this video made me feel like I was substitute teaching a kindergarten with all the kids screaming and crying and shitting their pants.
Oh, the remake ruined everything and modern gaming is making people's brains smooth.
Yeah, modern gaming is fucked, and it's probably going to continue to be fucked, but I don't think RE4 Remake is one of the reasons why. To answer whether or not the remake is soulless, in my humble opinion, I don't think so. There are just too many things that are in the remake that prove to me that the devs actually cared and loved the original game. The fact that the singular side quests that the merchant had in the original got expanded throughout the entire game in the remake. The shooting range minigame was heavily reworked. Now there's unique target sets for each and every weapon. If Capcom really didn't give a shit about the remake, they could have easily cut the side quests, cut the shooting range. Hell, they could have even cut parts of the island section. The remake story just makes more sense. Even Shinji Mikami admitted that the remake had a better story and basically said that his write-up for the original was some half-assed scenario that was written up in 2 weeks. Luis is much more fleshed out in the remake and has an actual story arc and real reasons on why he would help Leon and Ashley. Luis in the OG game was just there for like 3 times, and the only times he did show up in a cutscene was to either look like an idiot,
oh shit, I must have dropped it when I was running away from them,
or a pervert.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics too.
Ashley is also another character that has been vastly improved. Instead of being some brat who kind of implies she wants to fuck Leon in the end of the game.
So, after you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
They give her a lot more agency and actually feels like a real person trying to survive this hellish nightmare. Hell, you can tell they thought more about the story from the fact that Leon speaks Spanish to the first villager he sees in game. You know, for his mission in Spain, where the people speak Spanish. I knew some cholos who would trick OG Leon to thinking puta madre or some shit would be some epic quip to say to the Latinas. Yes, they toned down the goofiness. Yes, I do miss the big cheese line. Even though there are some valid points against the remake, it's just all ruined by this pretentious attitude that Crowbcat and many people that suck his dick have online. Crowbcat just straight up ignores all the positive changes the remake offered and just doesn't want to acknowledge any valid criticisms people had against his videos. And I would not be surprised in the slightest if some dude just heard me say all that.
You're just a fucking snowflake. LMAO, fuck, he's a fucking Capcom show.
Hey man, I'm just glad Capcom's still selling the original game on all available platforms. They could have done some bullshit like Rockstar Games, who delisted the original PS2 era GTA games off of all platforms to shovel in their defective versions instead. And this whole discourse strays away from one point Crowbcat made in his remake videos that I think is really important. There are just way too many remakes nowadays. Even though RE4 Remake is excellent, holy hell, it seems like everyone is remaking games nowadays. The video game industry is using nostalgia as the hot new way to milk gamer cash by pumping out remake after remake after remake. Literally, while I was making this video, Nintendo announced an Ocarina of Time remake right after they released a Star Fox 64 remake. And I can completely understand why people still reject RE4 Remake because the original is still one of the most revolutionary games of all time. Many felt like the remake's mechanics and basically the entire effort Capcom has gone through to make these remakes could have been used to make brand new Resident Evil games. Like shit, we'd probably be up to Resident Evil 15 at this point if they didn't make any remakes. And this is a little bit of a side tangent. For God's sake, can we bring Jill back for a new RE game? At least Claire's coming back for the new Code Veronica remake. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, I think I'm part of the problem.